Okay, so did get some good sleep last night. It's day 131 of Nofap. Sleeping for work now. I got out here a few minutes earlier than I did yesterday. Obviously not that much, not enough, I guess you could say, to not be, I guess, in danger of getting to work late. But depending upon how I can, push it on the freeway, so to speak, and what traffic is looking like since it's Friday, we'll see how late I get there, or if I get there late at all. But I did stay a couple hours extra. I think I probably mentioned in my last video. I stayed a couple hours, overtime yesterday. So, but yeah, I pretty much dropped into bed around like 9 p.m. last night. Just knocked out, and funny thing is, I woke up around like 1 a.m. No alarm, just woke up, and then I fell back to sleep. But got paid today, so that means I got money, not just for food and fuel, but also for other stuff like any groceries or laundry. So I'll be taking care of that stuff this weekend, hopefully. What else? Sent out some payments for the the loans, and I scheduled a payment for my car loan, and then there's another student loan that it's actually like the next payment is due the end of next month, but I decided to just take care of it right now, because the more I wait, then the more of whatever payment goes to interest as opposed to on the principal. So I just I'd already factored that into my calculations, and I forgot that it's actually due on the 28th next month. But I'd already taken care of this month's payment, but I just went ahead and took care of it. Paying down my credit card again. So given that with the way I have things set up right now, I should have enough actual cash to pay for whatever I need to pay for food, fuel, etc. For the next 2 weeks. So that I won't have to dip into my credit card, so I can just let that sit there, and I'll pay it off. Maybe my next paycheck, because I don't know, it's overtime, so hopefully I'll have enough extra money to cover that. And I'm gonna turn off the air right now, because usually I have the hot air running in the morning to just defog the windshield, but one of those mornings where we don't really have that going on right now, so don't really have that on. But what was I gonna say? Okay, so I was talking about my payments. So yeah, I put about $500 down on the credit card. There's about 600 something left to be paid off, and then another 500 sent to the other student loan. I'm trying to get back to the point where I can just be throwing like 1,000 or more at that specific student loan while making payments on the rest, because if I can do that, each per paycheck, that could be like 2,000 sent out each month. And then from that point onward, it'd probably be about 5-6 months or so till the loan is paid off. Give or take like half a month to a month, depending upon if I get any extra cash or so. But that one is a big. I don't want to just use the term headache, but it's sort of a big source of stress for me. And the other one is obviously the car loan. It's sort of like it's not just the loans themselves, but it's sort of like what they're attached to. Like even as I was throwing as much money as I could at these other loans that I paid off, I always made it a point never to slip up on this specific loan because this is the one that my uncle signed on to, and I wasn't going to go do that. You bring money into any relationship or any connection or so, like especially when it's family. It adds a whole another level of anxiety, and also just whole another, I guess, weight to it. So I was like, I'm never gonna slip up on making payments on time. I always made it a point to make those payments. But now, I've cleared out all these other loans that were sort of in the way of that, using the sort of the debt snowball method. So now I'm at that point where I can target that. I can just get that paid off. Obviously, assuming I keep up, making money, keep the money flowing in my bank account, hold on this job, that sort of thing, or maybe get a better job that pays more, something like that. But either the same or more. But anyways, and of course the car loan's there because, well, that's the other source of, I guess you could say, main source of anxiety is because it's attached to my car. I mean, it's a car loan, and obviously, without my car, I can't get from point A to point B, can't get to work, unless I took Uber, but then again, Uber or Lyft. But I've done that before. Did that back in college when I didn't have a car, and I mean, we're talking I think I did the math, it was $800 a month that I was spending on Uber. It was about $20 per ride, which, yeah, that's a lot of money. And obviously, you kind of think, okay, what could I have done with that money? Could have just I know at that point in time I probably would have done something really dumb with it, but if I had my mindset that I have right now as to what I'm going to do with the money I make and that sort of thing, I probably would have had it sitting in my savings account, or maybe I would have thrown it at some debt or so, got certain things paid off. Maybe when I graduated, I wouldn't have to be calculating for or stressing about all these other loans. But it's water under the bridge. It's a lesson learned, and I guess the best thing you can get from that sort of stuff is just that you don't do the same dumb stuff all over again. And as long as you don't repeat what you did in the past that got you in such trouble, then hopefully I'll be better off for it. So because we have to become. We aren't just we don't just exist. We have to become. So a lot of times, as guys, it means we have to go through some trials and tribulations. We have to make some mistakes, and hopefully they're not irreversible mistakes. You try and stay away from the big ones. But so I saw Alex's comment. Kind of find it a bit funny in a sense. Because I kind of get what he's saying. Trying to do dream interpretation and sort of figure out okay, what does this all mean? It could have been metaphorical, I was dodging some screw up, and I was in sort of a state where I was very fragile and could be easily destroyed or something like that. Could have been metaphorical for that, being in a little car like that. But it's kind of funny to hear people now using alpha male, beta male terminology. I know for some other folks on YouTube, it became a very much thing to sort of latch themselves onto because it was becoming popular, and you can kind of tell. I think Rollo talked about this, and I'm not saying anyone is this, but because it's one thing to just use it as a terminology, it's another thing to sort of build a brand off of it. We can have discussions all day long till we're blue in the face, till the cows come home, as a Midwestern expression would go, so to speak, using terminology like that because they're placeholders meant to sort of sum up a whole list of characteristics or what would otherwise be like a sort of drawn out explanation. So, just sort of repeat yourself. So you don't have to essentially almost like read an essay off every time you want to explain something. You can just use placeholders, and it makes things more concise. But there are folks out there who, whether or not they were marketing themselves previously as like dating coaches or whatever the case may have been, and since this terminology became more and more popular, kind of like hit critical mass, so to speak, it was like they started latching onto that and sort of trying to market themselves as, oh yeah, we're also alpha males, and we're red pill and all that sort of stuff. And then of course, if there's any negative publicity, because someone who was, I guess, let's say, going through the rage phase, which I don't know. I kind of went through it, and I kind of do deal with it on occasion, but it's become sort of passe to me. Mostly because I've had folks on this channel like helping me through that, sort of being sort of like a voice of reason, or sort of telling me that, hey, there is a life after that, so to speak, and you don't have to, like, I guess you could say, get drowned in all that. It's not really that bad. The world really is like this. Here are the rules. Here's how to navigate the world using these rules. But anytime somebody would have one of those sorts of episodes, and if it led to actual like a violent outburst, somewhere in the world, and they had marketed themselves as, or they had labeled themselves as being associated with this, I don't want to actually call it a movement, but this community or demographic, then automatically, those folks who are marketing themselves as, red pill, alpha male, blah, 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 they'd be like, dropping it like hot potato, wanting to disassociate themselves from it. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what that dream meant. It was like 4 years ago that happened, so, maybe because of just where I was at. I don't even know, if I label myself alpha, beta, whatever. I suppose if you want to go off, I think someone like, whether you agree with everything the guy believes, I'm not really advocating for that. I'm not saying that I do, believe in everything this guy, sort of peddles, if you will. But I know Rollo's referred to him, Vox Day, who he's gone into sort of more of a, I guess you could say, complex hierarchy, system when it comes to that sort of stuff. You have the very simple, alpha and beta. People will throw in things like, omegas and gammas and deltas, sigmas, etc. into that mix, or at least that's I think that's something actually Fox Day came up with. And if you're a sigma, this is what this is what it means, and etc. And I don't know what label I would give myself. I would like to say I'm more sigma like, but just in my sort of mindset. Though I guess people also have a term Zeta. Like, if you're basically the Zetas, like, they're the ones who walked away from the hierarchy. Sigmas sort of play within the hierarchy. They're not really like dependent upon any one position or rank. Like, it's almost like they're alphas who don't require a tribe or require a hierarchy. The lone wolf sort of a deal. Obviously, I think everyone wants to be a sigma, because it's not like, oh, I'm an alpha, but, I don't need a hierarchy, bro. I can just, like, go wherever. But it really depends upon what frame you're talking about that you're operating in. Like, if I'm at work, I'd probably use, like, the term delta that Vox Day comes up with, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm playing that role of, I'm just a grunt doing my work, making my money, push this button, pull that lever, that sort of thing. Because that's what I have to do in order to essentially get out of that psychological frame the benefits of that frame, of operating within that frame, being a part of that team or being in that frame. The benefit is, money. It's like, okay, you do what you got, you do what you got to do. You play the role you have to play in that frame in order to benefit from it. I'm definitely not the alpha or even the beta. Again, using Fox Day's understanding of it, as opposed to the more, I guess, I don't even call it red pill, but the standard understanding. If you go based off of Fox Days, it's a bit different, more complicated, or complex, a bit more complex, because he doesn't just look at it from the perspective of, or in terms of, which guy is getting the girls versus which guy is not getting the girls, or so to speak, or who's like the breeding stock versus who's the plow horse sort of thing. He's not looking at it from that perspective entirely. It's more like bringing the social aspect. So if you're the manager of the team, then you're obviously like the alpha. If you're like the lead, or you're sort of the right hand man, or women, well, I mean, to some extent, this is kind of like, it is both gendered and non-gendered. I mean, especially in contemporary society. I mean, I suppose you could have someone who's a manager, like my case, a female who is, technically speaking, I guess you could say, taking up the role of being the alpha, insofar as they're the ones in charge, and then the supervisor or the lead would be like the beta, and since they're beta because they're second to the manager and they're the right hand person. But if we were just to consider this in a context where it's all guys, for whatever reason, more of a conventional setup. So the manager would be like the alpha, supervisor or lead, or right hand man in this case would be the beta, and then pretty much everybody else would most likely be like the deltas, who are just like the workers, and they're they do their job. They got their, whether it's a desk job or it's something more hands-on, that's where their focus is at, and they basically play that role in the hierarchy. I don't think omegas would factor into it, because like omegas and gammas, it's sort of like they're sort of cast outs in a sense. Like, and there are differences. I don't remember exactly the difference between an omega and a gamma. I think like omegas basically it's almost like they don't exist, and gammas, I guess gammas are recognized within the hierarchy. They're not entirely cast out, but they're kind of like the folks waiting in the wings who wish they could be the alpha. Whereas the omegas, it's like they are the true cast outs. They are the ones that you don't even know they exist. They kind of like the classic stereotype of the guy who lives in his parents' basement, that sort of deal. So it's almost like, I mean, since we're talking in terms of like I guess you could say like Greek letters, and the omega is the last, the gamma would be like right before that, so the second to last, and then it's like whatever, I think the delta is like right in the middle. Sigmas move around. I mean, in some cases a sigma could be in a delta's role, or a beta's role, or an alpha's role. But I think ultimately for someone who's a sigma, it's almost like they would want to get to a point where they could like exist free of the hierarchy. That'd be kind of like their thing, and they don't take things too seriously. Like, okay, I'm gonna be just the grunt here making this money. That's cool, Whereas like a gamma, I think the term they use is like secret kings, where they wish they could like be, in charge, and obviously, if they get into power, they typically use that power, or they abuse it to almost like get their revenge on all the people who sort of didn't take them seriously, or they perceived as wronging them or so. And so that's kind of why it's a bit dangerous to let a gamma get in charge of your organization or so, because it's not really about the mission for the company anymore, or your platoon or whatever. It's all about here's how I'm gonna lord over you, and how I'm gonna get this out of you, and blah blah blah. What else? I mean, there are other terms people come up with, but ultimately, I guess you could say I'm less and less looking at it from those angles. I mean, I can use those categories. People were to ask me, I could use those to explain things, and I'd probably leave an article link, so folks could read up on their own, and then maybe they'd understand what the heck I'm talking about. But I see myself as being past being angry about a lot of stuff at this point, and I see myself as being less concerned about a lot of the stuff that I think folks I interact with are really concerned about. Maybe it is seeing the truth, maybe it's something else, but I could use the example of politics and why I don't talk to some of my family members about politics at this point, because it is just a bunch of stewing your emotions and getting angry about stuff you either can't do anything about, or which really doesn't affect your life, where people will use that sort of stuff to as as a bogeyman they can blame for their problems. So if it wasn't for so and so who's in office, I'd have all this money, or I did blah blah blah. And it's yet another tactic to avoid having to face any cold hard truths in life. The reason I need to lose weight is not because of who's in office, it's because of my diet. And in fact, I can control that, especially now that I have some money, assuming I manage things well and whatnot. I could do something with that. Obviously, if the pools were open, I'd be going swimming. I really don't want to be doing all that much running right now. It's have a really bad impact on my knees, and it doesn't really burn as many calories as swimming does. But I can do something about that. And if I manage my sleep schedule well and stress levels, I can have an effect on that. It's not something that's up to someone who is in office and whatever jurisdiction. It's something that's within my control, and those are the things that really affect my life. So a lot of these terminologies, a lot of these issues, they can be interesting, they can be useful, but I think it's a very simple but not necessarily easy sort of process or system or situation that most of us find ourselves in. It's simple, but it's not easy. And the big thing is, being able to maximize individual freedom, the ability to do what you want, obviously assuming that you're not hurting anybody else, and not having to worry that because you, decided to take a vacation or something like that, or you wanted to relax a bit, that you're gonna come to, so to speak, returning to the world and find that you don't have housing, you don't have food, or you don't have clothing, and being able to have that kind of freedom, or if you just wanted to sort of vegetate for a bit, pull Peter Gibbons from Office Space, if you know that about that movie, that your life isn't going to end, so to speak. And that's like ultimately so much of what I think so many of us are working towards and what we would want. It's not one thing or another. It's really that freedom, the ability to actually just, be able to experience life, like maybe you were when you were a kid. There's so many things out there that I miss about childhood or adolescence, and a lot of it was just, being able to like look at the world and feel awe, to feel wonder, not to be thinking about bills and co-workers and is my boss going to be, ticked at me, or am I going to be late, or how late am I going to be, or am I going to, blah, 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 God forbid, get fired or get blacklisted or something of that nature, or be homeless. Those are the things that you want to sort of get out of your life and get back to the stuff from your childhood, your adolescence, just being able to sort of dream and live that dream. So anyways, I am 5 minutes less late than I was yesterday, and luckily it's Friday, so it's the end of the week, and obviously I'll have to rebound next week, obviously, assuming there's no real big bad negative consequences, but I have to do that and get into work. So I'm parking in a spot that I usually haven't parked in a long time. So anyways, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching, and bye.